The following broadcast is brought to you in association by Forever Grips. Go to forevergripsgaming.com for all of your affordable gaming accessories. Need new grips for your analog sticks? They've got it. Need to swag up your controller or console, including the Xbox Series X or PS5? They've got it. Need a sweet mouse pad to complete your setup? Go to forevergripsgaming.com now. Act now and use the Vendetta Sports Media promo code VSM15 at checkout to get 15% off of your purchase. That's right, 15% off by using our promo code VSM15. Forever Grips, the best accessories for the best prices are with Forever Grips. What's going on, Tanimals? It is another week of the Tanndemonium Sports Show. I'm your host, Brian Tan, and with me, as always, it is not Trey Daubert. Trey does not have the Scottish chin pubes going this week. It is actually Jackson Law. Jackson Law back from the depths of Popeye's hell. Jay Law, how the hell are you?
Much better, man. Love that chicken from Popeyes, but that Popeyes from chicken don't love me.
That's awesome. Well, not awesome that you got sick, but that was a really, really good way to put it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we definitely.
I had some time to think about that one while I was laying in bed for a couple days.
That's awesome. Yeah, I sort of gave everyone a little bit of an update on what you were going through, coming from both ends, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole thing. We wept and chuckled and wept.
Oh, I know. I watched the episode.
Okay, fair enough.
I felt the love.
Yeah, and of course, the only person that we could get to fill your shoes was the boss man himself. Shout out to Trey Daubert for coming in and taking over. And of course, for those that don't know, Jackson was he's doing some double dipping today. He was on the cheese show today.
Yeah, that's some cheese.
Yeah, the two of the big wigs of Vendetta Sports Media together in an episode. That was pretty cool. I actually checked out the whole episode. That was kind of funny. So
right. It's slow news cycle, so we just kind of shot from the hip the whole time.
Yeah, I saw that. It was kind of funny. If you guys haven't watched it yet, definitely go to vendettasportsmedia.com or go to our YouTube channel and check out that cheese episode. It's hilarious. It's pretty cool. And of course, you get to hear all kinds of interesting things. You get to see just a straight screenshot of Jackson because his internet blows. And you actually got...
It's actually working right now. It's working.
Yeah, well. It is. That's the only reason why I'm making fun of it, is because it's working now. I figure if I keep giving it negative reinforcement, it'll stay the course.
That's about par for me.
And if you watch that episode, you actually get to see Trey Daubert doing his greatest Brock Lesnar impression. So
I love that picture.
That picture is hilarious. You know what? That picture, if this were Brian like 10 years ago, I'd be making so many inappropriate jokes about that. It's not even funny. However, this is the Brian of now. And on today's episode, we've got both of our hockey consultants joining up with us tonight. We're going to be talking hockey tonight. This is actually going to be a relatively hockey-heavy episode tonight. We got Emma and Andrew, Vendetta Sports Media's own hockey analysts, and definitely happy to have them here. So, yeah, come on in, you guys. Let's talk some frozen biscuit. Yeah, see what I did there? Yeah. I play NHL 20. I know what the score is. And we're in the first period. See, I can do these things. All right, guys. So you guys, first of all, Emma, Andrew, thanks so much for joining us. How the hell are you?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I love hockey. I love talking hockey, but I do not talk hockey well enough to sound like I've got a brain. That's why you guys are here. And throughout the season, just for those that are watching, you're going to see Emma and Andrew on alternating weeks when we're talking hockey. So that way, they both have their chances to keep spreading out and getting out there. Check out their stuff on vendettasportsmedia.com. Good stuff to be had. All right, guys, we're in February right now. And one of the main things that's coming down is the retirement of Willie O'Ree's jersey in Beantown and Boston, kids. As much as I hate Boston, I hate it a lot, but I do respect the Boston Bruins. And this is a pretty big deal in the hockey world right now, is it not, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm not a big Boston fan, so we can definitely share a bond on that. But you definitely have to respect what they and the NHL have been doing with Willie O'Ree. It's definitely a well deserved honor and well overdue as well. It took him until I think 2018 was when he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, something that definitely should have happened way sooner than that. They were actually originally planning to retire his number this season, but figured it would be best to wait until hopefully normal times, or they're postponing it back a little bit, trying to see maybe if the Bruins could have some fans in the stands by then. But yeah, this is definitely a great accomplishment and something he's very deserving of.
Emma.
I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about his career in general. Also, not a huge Bruins fan myself. I don't think anybody's a Bruins fan.
Yes.
From Boston. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction for not only the Boston franchise, but the league as a whole. Yeah, I also think it's long overdue, and that it's definitely something that he deserves. And yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, especially if you look at it back when the Caps finally won one, sadly, there was a lot of controversy coming out of Boston because of the racism of the fans. And for the fact, for someone who's lived in New England, I can definitely attest that the racism hat is kind of heavy up there at times, no matter what anyone thinks, no matter what anyone says. I've experienced it. And I remember even PK Subban, when he was with the Habs, went through it a lot in Boston. So
yeah, I remember Adam Jones from the Orioles got into it with Red Sox fans apparently saying stuff to him. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens a lot. I mean, it happens, period. I mean, let's be clear. There are crapheads all over the place. And there are all kinds of people that have this toxic mindset where they seem to think that just because they're a little bit pale, that they're better than anyone that's not. And well, that's not the case. Obviously, because if you're just some, big goofy douche sitting in the stands, and this person is a multi-million-dollar a year athlete that could probably kick the ever-loving crap out of you because he's in shape and you're not, goes to show that you're not better than him. So
those dang Irish, man, just the worst. Tell you what.
What's crazy is that I'm actually part Irish. I'm actually part Irish and part Scottish. Thank you very much, Ancestry.com, for opening those doors to me. But and you're right, where Willie O'Ree was inducted into the Hall of Fame, just a few short years ago. And the fact, I'm glad that he's still with us to be able to enjoy the fruits. I mean, did any of you guys watch the Willie O'Ree documentary that's on Peacock?
I didn't. I have the attention span of a corn nut, so I don't really watch anything that's longer than 25 minutes.
You Gen Zers.
I have not watched it either, but I will definitely put it on my list of stuff to check out.
Jackson, you watched it. That was your homework. You watched it.
Yeah,
right?
I watched it.
I mean, there's so many things about Willie O'Ree. Now, here's the thing. Me being a black kid from Pittsburgh, the Penguins didn't really become major in the city of Pittsburgh until Mario Lemieux showed up. I was but a little lad when Mario Lemieux was drafted. And Pittsburgh finally became hockey crazy as Mario really cemented his legacy in Pittsburgh. So I didn't get to know a lot about Willie O'Ree, but the fact that he's referred to as the Jackie Robinson of hockey, that's a big deal. And when you check out his stats, it's saying here 45 games played, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points. Granted, he was minus 18, but I mean, this was also at a time where defense was the norm in hockey. Isn't that right, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, plus minus honestly isn't the best stat to evaluate a player by, especially nowadays, but even back then. Willie O'Ree definitely didn't have the career, individual success that Jackie Robinson did. Obviously, Jackie Robinson Hall of Fame. Willie O'Ree also Hall of Fame, but Jackie Robinson won Rookie of the Year, several All-Stars, won a World Series for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Willie O'Ree's career was much shorter than his, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't very, very, very important to the future of hockey and growing the sport. Obviously, what he did, a tremendous accomplishment.
Well, he wasn't even really in the NHL that long. He bounced around in some of the other professional leagues as well. So, yeah, he didn't really, I guess, have as many opportunities. He was still a consummate professional, but, that's the one thing that I think hockey sort of, back in those days, it's harder to really gauge greatness, Emma, is because baseball has always been Major League Baseball. And granted, you had the Negro Leagues, and we talked about this late last month. Jackson and I, we had our interview with Sean Gibson, that, there was the Negro Leagues and the Major League Baseball, but that was about it. All other baseball was semi-pro. But hockey had a couple of professional leagues before they ended up joining in with the NHL, Emma.
So the Stanley Cup is like so old, like ancient, and it's gone through all of the National Hockey Leagues, all of the professional hockey leagues. So, and I mean, like the target audience, the like demographic of the MLB is much different than the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League and like all of the professional leagues have been aimed towards hyper-masculine white guys. So having Willie O'Ree in Boston with the people that lived in Boston, like even though he bounced around throughout the different professional leagues, that's still like it's huge.
Absolutely. So definite shout out, much love to Willie O'Ree in that regard, because I saw some of it, some of the highlights that they had of him, and he was a complete package, man. He could get it done. And the fact that he played for so long with only one eye, Jackson, that shocked the crap out of me when they said that he was blind in one eye. I mean, to be able to play hockey at that level and blind in one eye. I mean,
I got two eyes and I can't even skate.
See, I can skate. I have to get skates that are big enough for my feet. Otherwise, my back hurts because, just wait until y'all get older. You'll understand.
I can like glide around the board. That's about it.
I can stabilize myself and people can like push me back and forth.
Jackson tries to do like Rocky.
Yeah. I'm the one they always send over in Red Rover because they just chunk me.
Honestly, I think that if I were playing hockey, I would probably be like Doug the Thug Glatt before he learned how to skate. That would be me. I would just be like, I could like hit you, but it's like I can't stop or do anything else. I'd be like probably the worst enforcer ever.
Hitting the boards is a perfectly effective way of stopping. I don't understand.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But after you do it a couple of times, it tends to sting a little.
Yes.
So let's move a little bit more into Andrew's forte. Let's talk Ron Hextall. What the hell?
I got to do this.
What in the hell is this? Ron Hextall last Tuesday was announced as the my beloved Penguins new GM after the sudden retirement of is it Rutherford? Yeah.
Rutherford.
So now Hextall has been essentially a lifelong Flyers. He's in the Flyers Hall of Fame. He played there for 11 years. He's been in multiple roles for 24 years total. GM, executive VP, assistant GM, director of hockey personnel. And then all of a sudden he's fired in 2018. You're a Flyers guy, Andrew. What the hell?
I'm a pretty big Flyers fan, and I got into the team right as Hextall took over as GM in May 2014. So I got to live out the Ron Hextall experience in Philadelphia. And I got to say, he's a good GM, but I'm interested in the fit with Pittsburgh because obviously the Penguins right now, they're in win now mode. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, they're all in their early to mid-30s. They're not getting any younger whatsoever. And in Philly, Hextall was very, very patient. He took very few big swings and trades. The only really big free agent signing he made was James Van Riemsdyk, and that wasn't until his last year in Philly. So it kind of strikes me as a weird fit for him in Pittsburgh because you got a guy who is most known for being patient, accumulating draft picks and prospects and building through the draft with a win now team. So I'm interested to see how he's going to adapt because it sounds like based on what he said in his opening interview in Pittsburgh, is that the plan is still to try and win now in these last couple of years with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, and that great core that they have. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts.
Well, Emma, let me ask you this. In your opinion, does this look like maybe the Penguins are starting to look at life after Crosby, Malkin, and Letang? Like maybe they need to start looking to some of these young guys that are down in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and, up in, Canada and overseas?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know pretty much shit about Pittsburgh, but I think yes, because Letang and Crosby are getting, I don't want to say old, but like old for the National Hockey League. So I think if Pittsburgh isn't looking to the future, that's kind of dumb. If that's not the plan with Hextall, that needs to be the plan with Hextall, is to look into the future and look at the prospects that they have in the American Hockey League and not start moving on, but start like making those plans. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens basically at this point, there's going to come a time, whether it's as soon as this next off season or in like 2 to 3 years, where they hit the same territory that the Sharks and the Kings and the Blackhawks and all those great teams from the late 2000s, early 2010s hit, where they're bad. And it's just the circle of hockey life. So really, it's going to be interesting to see how long Hextall tries to push the contention window with these guys and whether or not they retire in Pittsburgh. Or, I mean, I hate to say it. Actually, I don't really hate to say it as a Flyers fan, but it's weird to say it. If Hextall were ever to consider moving on from these guys. Now, I don't think that's going to happen at all this season. I think they're sold on trying to make another cup push, trying to still contend. But it'll be interesting, and it's a difficult conversation that he'll have to have with Mario Lemieux and ownership about potentially moving on from those guys. Thought you never see the day, but it might be around the corner.
Anything you want to throw in there, Jackson Law, before we go to break?
Nah, dude. I mean, I'm still getting introduced into the NHL world, man. Like I said, I just, since I'm poor and broke, I got to bum off of other people's like TV and subscription services. So, just whatever the local game that comes on, which is either.
Can't you watch hockey on Peacock? Isn't the NHL on Peacock right now?
I may be able to. I'm
gonna start looking into it.
I know the Pens are the national game tonight against Washington.
I'm gonna have to check that out maybe once we're done.
Yeah, but it's either locally televised games. I either get the Preds or the Stars. Gotcha. Those are the two games that I get, and usually the Stars come on after a Grizz game sometimes, and after that it's kind of late, and I just turn the TV off.
Fair enough. I know that here in Pittsburgh, I'll listen to 105.9 The X, which is also where the Steeler games broadcast on. And, because honestly, when I'm watching anything Pittsburgh related, I always try to, listen to it on the radio. So, and I think that, and Trey and I had this conversation last week, and I am getting to a point, I'm not just running off the mouth, is that baseball is one of those games that you don't need to see it on TV. You can listen to it on the radio and you can still get the full experience. In a lot of ways, the experience is even better when you listen to it on the radio. In my opinion, it's at least better than watching it on TV. The only other thing that's better than watching it from the crowd is listening to it on the radio. And hockey is kind of the same way for me. If I can't be there, I'd rather listen to it on the radio. Watching it on TV, it gets I don't know, it gets a little bit, I guess for lack of a better term, confusing.
Yeah. And there's just not a big hockey market where I live at. An hour away from me is Memphis, and the only hockey that's played there is, you've got like it's getting popular like in high school and stuff like that. There's like some high school age kids that have been playing hockey, and I hear conversations about it more and more. But for the NHL, no, there's nothing. Closest teams is Nashville and Dallas.
Fair enough. All right, we're gonna take a quick break on that. Emma, Andrew, you guys good for to at least start easing into the second segment there? You guys still good?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, cool, guys. So we're gonna take our first break. Enjoy this word from our sponsor on Vendetta Sports Media Network, Tanndemonium Sports Show. We'll be right back. The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags. Or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the US, go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the UK, go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers. All right, we're back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. We're joined by Vendetta Sports Media hockey writers Andrew McGuinness and Emma Brown. So, folks, let's talk a little bit about the Rangers. Those pesky New York Rangers. Mika Zibanejad. Is he overrated, Andrew?
I mean, I don't know if he's overrated, but this has been about as close to a nightmare start as you can get. Career season last year, scores 41 goals in 57 games, and he'd always been, in his first 2 years with New York, he scored 27 and 30. So we all knew he was a good player at this point, but he was on another level last year. Remember, he had a 5-goal game right before the season shut down against the Washington Capitals. But this year, he has just not been able to recapture that magic, and really no one has on the New York Rangers. As a team, they haven't been off to a very good start, and Zibanejad has been no exception.
Well, do you think maybe it's because, like, folks knew he was good, but they didn't know how good he was, and now they know and they've game planned for him?
I mean, maybe a little bit. The one interesting thing that's always been with Zibanejad, going back to last year, the Rangers have two amazing players up front. They had Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin, who was a finalist for the Hart Trophy for League MVP. And usually you would think guys like that would play together, but the Rangers actually separated them last year. Zibanejad was down on the second line, usually with Chris Kreider on the left, and Panarin was playing first and left wing, usually with Ryan Strome as his center. And so I kind of wonder if maybe that's the solution for them, is to try and just stack that top line with Panarin and Zibanejad. I know Panarin is out right now with a day-to-day injury. He's not going to play tonight against the Devils. But once he comes back, which probably won't be too long, I wouldn't be opposed to them, if I was a Rangers fan, just trying to stack those two guys together and get Zibanejad going, because they need it.
Emma, what do you think? What are you seeing from the Rangers and what's going on with Zibanejad?
Well, I'm an Islanders fan, so I'm not a huge Rangers fan. And I just think that, like, in the very short off season between the bubble and now, the Rangers were talking about how they thought that they had rebuilt this, like, cup contending team, and they had the first round draft in Alexis Lafreniere, and they have Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin, and I just think that they could be doing a lot better than they are. And at first I was chalking all of the team's suckiness up to not having a preseason, but now all of these teams are, like, starting to, get their stuff together and win, and the Rangers are still, like, at least 3 steps behind everybody else. So whether it's Mika Zibanejad that's overrated or, like, the whole Rangers franchise that's overrated, I don't know, but I think that the Rangers could be doing, as a whole, the Rangers as a whole could be doing a lot better than they are.
But you don't care one way or the other.
That whole fastest rebuild thing in hockey just did not pan out. Or at least it hasn't been panning out as a lot of their fans thought it would be.
Yeah, see, I've never been a huge Rangers fan. I think the only time I actually liked the Rangers was when Gretzky went there, and it was him and Messier. I think that was the only time that I was actually, like, on board with the Rangers a little bit. But I even remember when I was living in New England and I was in an Applebee's at the bar watching the game when the Pens were playing them in the playoffs, and they just got completely humiliated. I'm just like, oh, I hate this team so much. I even rooted against the Rangers in the movie when they were in the movie Mystery Alaska. It wasn't even the real Rangers, but I was rooting against them anyway. So that just lets you know how I feel about the New York Rangers.
The only reason to root for them over the year was Henrik Lundqvist, and now that he's gone, I can just hate them as much as I want. Just amazing.
Now Lundqvist is a guy that I had heard of, so yeah, I was definitely willing to give a rah-rah for him. Definitely. All right, guys. Anything else before you go? Anything hockey related at all? Anything else you want to say before you head out? Emma, start with you.
I think that Rangers fans think their team is a lot better than they actually are because they're an original six team, and their fans are like, oh yeah, like we're an original six. I think all original six fans are like that. Maybe that's just because my team isn't an original six. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that does sort of happen though, doesn't it, Andrew? I mean, it happens. Like, we're original six. What are you? You're just an expansion team. Yeah, how many championships have you? I think the only original six team that can trash talk anybody is the one team that can't trash talk anyone, and that's Detroit.
Well, I mean, Montreal too. I mean, they have the most cups of anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, what have they done the last couple of years?
That's fair.
They practically gave Subban away. They practically gave him away. And
I think they did pretty good in that trade, getting Weber back. I mean, Subban's kind of fallen off a cliff the last couple of years. Weber's still like steady as a top pair guy.
Fair enough. I just
bad contract, but solid player.
Yeah, you got me there. You got me there. Way to show my ineptitude and my blind following of PK Subban. I appreciate that.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm the same way with Wayne Simmons, even though he's kind of fallen off. I still miss him in the days when he was dominating in the orange and black.
All right, go ahead, Andrew. The floor is yours.
I was just round this out by reminding everybody that there's actually going to be 2 NHL games played in Lake Tahoe this weekend: the Colorado Avalanche and Vegas Golden Knights, and assuming they don't get shut down because of a mini COVID outbreak, the Flyers are going to play the Boston Bruins on Sunday. And so it should be pretty cool. Obviously, we're not getting to a traditional outdoor experience this year like we usually do. It's like 2 to 3 games, the Stadium Series, Winter Classic, all that stuff. But I mean, I saw some of the pictures of the rink today on Twitter. It looks pretty sick. So hopefully everything goes well with that.
Awesome. So, Emma, how can folks find you out there? How can they look you up on the tweet machine or the whatever? Where are you at on social media? How can we find you?
My Instagram and my Twitter are the same. They're Brown_Emma09 because I have the whitest name in the entire world. And it's the same on Instagram and Twitter. And then you can find all of my articles and pieces and stuff on vendettasportsmedia.com. And also go follow the Vendetta social medias because I'm in charge of those. On Instagram, it's Vendetta Sports Media. And then on Twitter, it's media_Vendetta.
There you go. Andrew, where are we finding you? How are we stalking you?
Yeah, so I'm also on Twitter at _Andrew McG, and that will also link to my own. I used to have a Philadelphia Flyers blog. I still have it, but most of the stuff right now is for Vendetta, but you can also follow that. It's BackOTNet on Twitter, backotnet.com. And you can also go to ndsmcobserver.com. That's the website to the Notre Dame student newspaper. I write about sports for them too. So, and obviously on Vendetta as well.
Awesome. Make sure you tag us on some of those as well. Make sure we'll definitely retweet some of your stuff. Same with you, Emma. Make sure you let us know. So with that being said, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Their first time on. We'll decide, we'll figure out how our schedule is going to work, who's going to be on next week, because we're going to talk. I'm sure there's going to be some NHL. But otherwise, Emma, Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for your analysis. And we'll talk to one of you guys next week.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, great. Take care, guys. Oh, man. Jackson Law, we can finally get you to something that you can talk about.
I'll learn.
We'll learn. Let's talk a little bit of NFL, shall we? I don't, or what do you think there, Bridget? Should we take a quick break and then go to the NFL, or do we have enough time to talk some NFL? What say you?
So I think we have enough time. We're at 8:40 right now. So
all right, cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit of NFL right now there, J Law. What do you think?
All right.
So the Urban Meyer experiment in Jacksonville, getting off to a bit of a rocky start. Urban Meyer decided to hire controversial strength coach Chris Doyle as the director of the team sports performance. Now, for those that don't remember, Chris Doyle left Iowa following allegations of racism and abusive behavior by dozens upon dozens of former Hawkeyes players. He was also reprimanded by Iowa for giving a dangerous lifting regime, and it sent 13 of the Hawkeyes to the hospital in 2013. So Doyle's got a pretty not good past coming in. And then Urban Meyer says that he was, quote, vetted thoroughly before being brought into Jacksonville, and he felt great about the hire. And of course, J-Law, the crap hit the fan on this hiring. And within 24 hours, Doyle resigned his post. Now, do you think that this is a sort of a bad start for the Urban Meyer experience down there in Jacksonville? You know, is he just being obtuse, or is this his sort of his college accoutrement not translating to the NFL?
I think it's Urban Meyer kind of being Urban Meyer, where he doesn't necessarily care about what you've done in your past, what kind of baggage you carry. If he thinks that you're going to help get the job done, then he's going to want you in there. Obviously, initially, he was able to convince the GM. I'm forgetting the GM's name, and the owner of the Jaguars. I forget his name, but he's
Tony Khan is Amir Khan. Tony Khan's
Amir.
son.
Yeah, that's
Amir Khan.
Yeah. So it was obviously able to convince them and get them to sign off on the hiring. But you know, he's done this before in the past, like at Ohio State, wide receiver coach Zach Smith. There was I don't know if you remember the whole story, but there was the possibility of like perhaps a cover-up that was involved along with Urban Meyer's wife too, about where they kind of knew about some domestic violence and domestic abuse that was going on between Smith and his wife, and they were trying to keep it under wraps. So there's a lot of shady stuff. It seems wherever Urban Meyer goes, when his time there is done and we learn about what has happened, like a year or two later, then it's like, we're like, holy cow. You're like, how could this happen? How could a professional coach at any level, allow this to continue happening under his watch? That's like, one of the things that people talk about. He could, which in the case with the, his wide receiver coach and the domestic abuse allegations, which, I don't think are even allegations. I think those were confirmed. I can't confirm that they were confirmed, but if I'm remembering the story correctly, I'm pretty sure they were confirmed because said coach was eventually let go by Ohio State. I don't know. I think unfortunately what will happen is like this will get washed under the bridge. This story will be, and by the time the season starts, because like already you see in the news cycle, it's being forgotten about,
It's already
left, and it was all about Meyer being there at Trevor Lawrence's pro day and watching him throw and talking about Trevor Lawrence and the first round pick, or be it should Jacksonville trade that first overall pick to get Deshaun Watson, and they've got 11 picks in this draft. They could use some of that draft capital. They got like over $70 million in cap space. So there's other storylines that are going to take up like this, that are going to engulf this story. And also just from the fact that he resigned from his position after 24 hours after being hired, after the story came out, I think it's just going to get washed under the bridge, because it kind of already has been, and we'll probably never talk about it ever again.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and that's pretty unfortunate. I think a lot of what this does is that it shows like the arrogance of Urban Meyer. He thinks he can do whatever he wants because he's a big time coach, right? Thing is that his success is gonna have to translate to the NFL level. I mean, look, no matter how you might feel about the guy, we cannot ignore his pedigree. But can it translate to the professional league? And I'll tell you the truth, I think it's probably a good idea that Doyle did resign, because with the way he was acting with college kids, when you feel that you're in charge, you feel like you can say and do and act however you want. You seem to forget when you're around some grown men. When you're around kids, you think you can say and do whatever. But I guarantee you, if that Chris Doyle cat called himself running mouth at, say, Marlon Mack, we would end up hearing about a story about there was an altercation between the strength and conditioning coach and Marlon Mack. But we're only getting so many, details.
And it is kind of worrisome that, over a dozen players went to the hospital because of his workout regime.
Right. Yeah. Like when you're in a position where, someone is putting their body in your hands, whether you're a masseuse or a strength and conditioning coach, a sensei, whatever, that is a very sacred trust, especially when you're at a high performance level. And when that trust is violated, I mean, I don't see how this guy is a personal trainer at Bally's, let alone being around a football team at that point. I seriously think that when it comes to Urban Meyer, this just goes to show also that he's going to have to learn you're not in college anymore. You're not the guy. You have people that you need to answer to. And big time coaches, yeah, sure, they might answer to the president of the university, the athletic director, but the bottom line is that if the boosters like you, you're not going anywhere. So, and he doesn't have that here. These are grown men in that locker room that are making more money than he does. And unless you're a Joe Gibbs, a Bill Walsh, a Don Shula, a Bill Belichick, or a Mike Tomlin, or even a Pete Carroll, you are not going to win against these players. You're just not. And I think that if in this first season, if Urban Meyer pisses off Marlon Mack enough, do you see the Jaguars keeping Urban Meyer over Marlon Mack, who's supposed to be like the future of their defense?
I mean, I can see where Meyer, like part of him getting the job was having a bit more control, obviously not sitting in the GM's chair, but, the GM basically taking in heavy consideration into everything that Urban Meyer wants for his team. They gave him a fat contract. So they're gonna back the coach, I would probably say, and especially, and I've said it in the past, this isn't just some like average Joe coach. It's not even someone that's been in the NFL for some time, like a Kyle Shanahan. Someone that is proven in the NFL, but also hasn't done it big. Urban Meyer's done it big at two separate major Power 5 universities in college, and even though that was college and this is the pros, that stuff carries a lot of weight. There's a large coaching tree that delves from him, and there's a large player tree of professional players that play in the league. And the vast majority of players in this league, similar to like with someone like Nick Saban, and it's starting to get that way with Dabo Swinney, they've either played for or they've played against Urban Meyer. Right. And so they know what kind of person, and they know how good and how brilliant of a head coach he is. And I think that's where the advantage for Urban Meyer coming into a situation like this, and also the fact that you've got $70 million in cap and you're on one of the worst teams in the league, means you can go out and get your guys, like guys that that will listen to you because you're the one that helped sign them to a brand new fat contract, and possibly maybe if the rebuild works, gets them to a Super Bowl.
You're right. And you know what, real quick, I know we're really, really up against it, but Trevor Lawrence threw for Urban Meyer and a couple of other coaches a few days ago, but he's getting shoulder surgery here in the offseason. He'll be ready for the season, but that's something for us to keep our eyes on. The fact that Trevor Lawrence is going to be getting some shoulder surgery done.
Yeah, he still looked good at his pro day though, so I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, I think it's one of those small things, just to whatever. I think it's probably just a strengthening thing, if anything else. But
yeah.
All right, guys. So we're gonna take a quick break. Come back for our final second segment. We're gonna be talking some MLB here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show on the Vendetta Sports Media Network. We'll be right back. Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage. All right, we're back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show on the Vendetta Sports Media Network. Make sure you go to vendettasportsmedia.com to check out all of our articles, all of our content. Make sure you find us on social media, Vendetta Sports Media. On Twitter, media_Vendetta. Check us out on our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're all over. Check us out. We're going to have, the amazing Bridget's going to be sending clips of the show to the amazing Emma. And you're going to see clips of the show on there and all sorts of anything. You can follow us on your Twitter, see what our thoughts are, because we're all over the place. And a lot of our opinions, we get pretty animated. Matter of fact, J Law, you and Trey were doing some talking, and I sort of jumped on that bandwagon on social media. What the hell is up with Canuck Sports not answering Vendetta Sports Media call to make them a better, make their platform better for their maximum football, J Law? If it wasn't for us in your maximum football series, come on, man.
I don't know, man. I guess they just don't want their product to be the best that it could be.
Man,
that's all I got for it.
I know, like seriously, we could do Doug Flutie's Maximum Football, whatever, presented by Vendetta Sports Media. We could have Bridget as a sideline reporter. Me and Trey will be doing the play-by-play and stuff, and we can get Chad to be like the Jonathan Coachman.
He's like he's the drunk fan that gets kicked out, like in a little cutscene that you see, like if someone getting kicked out in the stands. That's Chad.
Awesome. That is Chad, absolutely. Matter of fact, I told Trey to look into Axis, because Axis has their football simulator that's supposed to have like among the deepest of franchise modes. But this is the same knock on them, is that it's their game. If it's not just their gameplay, it's their presentation. They always say, you might as well just simulate through because there's no presentation.
Yeah, and with NCAA football coming back, I'm honestly excited. Like obviously there's the little caveat, the little pessimistic part of me, EA. Devil on my shoulder, that's just like, it's EA, man. It's EA. You've been burned so many times. It's like, remember how excited we were with Star Wars Battlefront, and then it's like the disappointment, the letdown, breaking down, crying in your dorm room because it was such a disappointment that may or may not have happened. I'm not going to confirm or deny that.
Oh, I'll admit that I loved Fallen Order, but then there was like nothing else after. Like there was just nothing. It's just like, here's the story. And it's like, seriously? So we get nothing else. There's nothing. Really? Okay.
Got to pay an extra $60.
Oh, geez. There's one thing with EA that I am excited for. And this is definitely impromptu gaming talk, but we're going to get to, because as you guys see, Bridget's still on with us because she's going to get involved in this MLB talk. But I am excited for the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I am going to be buying that, and I will be replaying Mass Effect as well, because the thing was, I started doing a replay through of Mass Effect, but when I came to 3, I realized that I didn't have all of the DLC for the Xbox version. All the DLC was for the PlayStation version. I want to play the full game. So I'm just gonna
Yeah, and because there's no online mode for it anymore, it got shut down. You can't. This is getting like really nerdy and like really into like the game because I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, except for the endings. But to try to setting up the defense for Earth, you had to play online so that way you could get that little bit extra, or else everyone was gonna die. And me, a perfectionist, I spent hours upon hours in Mass Effect 2, doing the character quests and then choosing the correct mission to give them, or the job in the final mission, so they all would live and make it to Mass Effect 3, just for some of them to die in scripted events in Mass Effect 3. Pissed me off so much.
Yeah, I'm curious about how they're gonna do that as well. I really am. I really am.
It's not going to be one of those games where there's 3 endings and then that's it. Well, there was just 3 endings and that was it. So
I seriously think that they're going to throw something else in there for the fan. I think they're going to do something cool in there. And then once I finish that playthrough, I'm probably going to finally finish Andromeda. But so
that was tough to get through.
See, I got bored. I'm not going to lie, I got bored. But I chalked that up to me just being finicky. But we'll see. So we have Bridget on with us as well. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball is finally updating its code of conduct pertaining to harassment and discrimination. And the reason why I wanted Bridget to be on here is because a lot of these instances where they're having to make these changes are based on women being sexually harassed by individuals in these teams. I mean, you've got who's this fella here? What's his name? Jared Porter, who's showing women a Woody when they're not even asking to see it. I mean, and then Mickey Callaway, pulling all of his stuff. I mean, now Bridget, you as a young woman, you're just starting out in this a male-dominated field. How does it make you feel seeing stories like this where these guys are doing this stuff? Like, how does that make you feel hearing that this is what they're doing, but now they're not getting away with it?
I mean, first hearing about it, I was kind of like shocked because I feel like, you hear about the Me Too movement, you feel like you're moving along in society so far. And then I feel like something like this kind of just takes that 10 steps back, but just like the harassment aspect of it. But then, you have the MLB coming out and saying that, no, we're changing our code of conduct. We're gonna, we're not gonna allow this. I think that, it's good in the sense that they're really trying to change everything, and they're trying to take something that's so bad and then create something that's a lot better in that sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy to me, J-Law, and I think that Trey and I talked about this a little bit last week. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bridget. But MLB, they have to do something like this. They have to get some positive PR because their product is stale compared to the other major sports, right? I mean, because
yes, yeah. I mean,
what are they doing?
Outside, they don't have an outreach anymore. In fact, I think if I remember correctly, we kind of hit on it a little bit. With when we interviewed Sean Gibson, is that the MLB doesn't really promote its top players. Like you've got a few, and I know like specifically, we were talking about, African-American baseball players, but even just like players like Mike Trout, you don't see too much of them outside of their respected markets.
Right.
And they've got to find a way to outreach. The NBA has done that tremendously. Even the NFL does a great job at doing that. They push and push and push their athletes into every aspect of everyday life. So that way you see little kids, like every little kid on the street is going to know who LeBron James is. They're starting to learn the name of Patrick Mahomes. Everyone and their grandmother knows Tom Brady. But outside of the markets, I feel like for a lot of these teams, there's no value, there's no market available, there's no interest in Major League Baseball. Even if there is interest in the game of baseball, there's not in the product of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, because I mean, name me one MLB player that has a shoe deal. or some sort of licensing deal. None. They don't even have like their names. Like you might get cover athletes on MLB The Show, but even MLB The Show was so centralized with just PlayStation 4, it didn't matter. Now, and who cared about the RBI baseball games? Nobody really, people played them, but they weren't like breaking records. I think now with MLB becoming the show becoming a cross-platform game, now some of these cover athletes will be able to start getting to a broader audience, but you got to keep an eye on the sales because Major League Baseball isn't really promoting people. I mean, you're absolutely right. And I seriously think that, Bridget, when we're talking about, the code of conduct is harping on inclusion, acceptance, equality, defining harassment and discrimination, and encourages against lewd behavior. Now, for you as a woman, do you think that these steps are enough? Do you think that Major League Baseball, without having read the agreement, obviously, because you've got, both shows that you produce on keep you relatively busy, but do you think this does enough?
I think it's a step, definitely. I think like if they're seeing it, they're definitely doing something about it, which I think is great. Like they said, I think they said that they have like a hotline that they have that you can call if you are, in any way assaulted or in any, taken advantage of. So, which I think is great. I think that that's something that they need in this, in that type of environment, obviously. Like, I think it's showing that people can't get away with doing this anymore. So.
Awesome. I totally agree 100%. It's almost as if, MLB is definitely trying to do their best to sort of nip this in the bud because they've got a problem, and it's bad enough that they're not able to bring in new fans, but now you're going to have longtime fans moving away because not every baseball fan is some He-Man woman hater. And, a lot of these guys, they're hearing about this stuff that's happening, and these are guys that have wives, they have daughters, and I'm pretty sure that even if the average red-blooded American male baseball fan is a prick or racist or what have you, I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying even if they are, if they've got daughters and wives, even if they're not great people, they're probably gonna have a little bit, I would think they would have a little bit of issue with a sport that is letting athletes get away with this. I mean, Jay Law, you're a married guy. I'm a married guy. Granted, we both have sons, but we're both married. I mean, I know that I would not want to root for a team or a sport. Like I honestly sort of roll my eyes at the Dallas Cowboys, and I've never forgiven the Dallas Cowboys for giving Greg Hardy another chance.
And there's also just a big problem, bringing up the NFL. There's a big domestic abuse problem in the NFL, and you got a ton of guys that walk away with minuscule things like slap on the wrist. Really, Ray Rice is the only person that has ever gotten punished, like truly punished for what he did, and it's just because there was video of it and we got to see it, and so we couldn't deny it. Tyreek Hill is a name that we talk about. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL, definitely one of the fastest, if not the fastest, runner in the NFL. Dude literally was beating the crap out of his family and his wife. And, there is a numerous amounts of others. I'm forgetting the name of one, but he was an offensive lineman. He was just let go because of
Chad, what's
domestic.
His name? Yeah, Chad something or whatever.
For domestic violence, allegations, which I'm going to presume are true.
Oh yeah, well they had pictures of them. She was but battered horribly.
Yeah, but there needs to be action taken when there necessarily isn't like photographic evidence or video evidence, but if there is, a significant amount of eyewitness testimony, then yes, then that person needs to be, properly disciplined. And the NFL, I think, to an extent, is especially with its female audience. And I know that there's a vast majority. It is something I've been heavily disappointed in the NFL. I continue to watch it because it's part of my job to watch the NFL, to analyze the NFL, to write articles, and to talk about it on our podcasts. But I think that definitely hurts the product, which there's a lot of things that has hurt the NFL product over the last, just half decade.
Absolutely.
But that is definitely one of those things that they have to nip in the butt. And I would definitely like to see the NFL, just because I'm more involved with the NFL and what I think the MLB has taken a great step forward here, also at least putting it on paper, but the MLB is also acting on what they've put on paper with some of the recent firings of general managers, no matter how successful they've been in the past, just axing them instantly, no questions about it. There's proof. You're gone. You're nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Bridget, for giving us your opinion on that. Absolutely. Great to have you on the segments. Definitely. Like I said, I'm going to get you on. I'm going to get you at least one. I'm going to get at least one partial segment out of you. You're going to have your own show in no time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, J-Law, let's close out.
Yeah, it's going to be called 12 Rounds is what it's going to be called. That's going to be the name of the podcast.
I like it. Yes. I like it. Matter of fact, that's going to be Bridget's new nickname, 12. Bridget 12 Rounds.
Okay.
All right, J-Law, let's close out with your specialty, the NBA. Your buddy D'Angelo Russell. Are the Wolves tanking? Or are they just looking for this guy's well-being? What's happening here?
Not my boy. Let me reiterate that.
Although
I did like D'Lo in Brooklyn. I liked the vibe that Brooklyn had, but of course Brooklyn decided to blow it all up so that way they could pursue KD and Kyrie, which is understandable. Even though they're not playing that great as a unit right now, it's you don't pass up on a former MVP and two guys that are NBA champions.
No, you do not.
But I mean, just what this feels like, and again, this is just a part of the the slow news day, especially in the NBA. And even in a shortened season, we're kind of getting to the point where everything is kind of in purgatory, where you have people sitting out because they're looking to be traded by their teams, and then you have guys that are kind of injured teams that still don't know what's going on. Or you have
kids quitting on their team because they think that they're projected lottery picks.
Yeah, it's like we're over 20 games into the season. If your team is below 500, then you're just like, well, that's it. Time to check out. See you guys at the draft, the lottery, and then we'll see you in the draft, and we'll see how the offseason goes. So yeah, this is a time where a lot of people check out. There's just not a whole lot of storylines going on. But to me, this D'Lo situation, and this is how it normally goes. This is a suspicion that I've had of plenty of teams. And from what I've seen and what I've heard that as goes on behind the scenes, this happens all the time, where you have a struggling team and you have a player that has an injury of some sort. And now there's been no real definition of what's wrong with D'Angelo Russell. It just says a loose body in his knee. Not really sure what that is. Like,
that doesn't even make sense.
Is it like a bone fragment that has broken off? Did something pop in there? Did he strain something? It's unclear. So to me, if he's been playing on it this whole time, and I'm not a Timberwolves fan, so I'm obviously not like super glued to every Timberwolves game. I'm not sitting on the edge of my seat, to watch them lose again. I don't know what his minutes are, but if he's been playing recently, then it feels like it's something that he could have probably kept playing through, or you could have gone sit him a game or two. Sit him on the second of a back-to-back or the first of a back-to-back, depending on who your opponent is, games that you think you could win, games that you think you have no chance in, stuff like that. This just kind of felt like a move where it's like, okay, he can go ahead and have the surgery now. He could probably wait till the offseason to have it. He can play through it, and he seems fine. His numbers aren't terrible. They're not great, but they're not terrible.
Yeah, just under 20 points a game, just over 5 assists a game. I mean, that's losing a lot.
And he was without his second best player in Karl Anthony Towns, which, regardless of how you feel about Karl Anthony Towns and how he fits as a big and as a player in the grand scheme of the NBA, he's the number 2 guy on that team, or in a lot of people's eyes, the number 1 guy. So he was playing without his dynamic partner this whole time. He's playing with a bunch of rookies and scrubs. Yeah. So it just felt like something where the Timberwolves front office, it's like, well, the season's already lost. We suck. We're last in the West. There's no way that we could possibly move up. So go ahead and have the surgery, sit out, rest, and we'll lose all these games and we'll try to get the number 1 pick again.
Yeah, this, and the thing is, and I was telling you this off air, real quick, because we're just about up against it. Just because you have the worst record in the NBA, and we all know this, just because you have the worst record in the NBA don't mean you're getting the first round pick. So what's the point in tanking? I mean,
so you can have tied the 3rd best odds, because, and I honestly love what the NBA has done, because it is, like, as far as I understand, the only sport that does the lottery system when it comes to the draft. And there's even, like, more aggressive, like, ideas out there on how to tackle the tanking problem, because if a team is tanking, then the whole product suffers. There's 30 teams, and if one of them is, like, actively tanking and is terrible and it sucks, then that's billions of dollars in revenue that the NBA is losing. And especially in a COVID year, back-to-back COVID years.
Yeah, you can't afford that.
You can't afford that. They've already lost billions upon billions.
Thanks,
just a couple
Rudy
million
Gobert.
Yeah.
I blame Rudy Gobert.
Going around licking his hands and touching things.
Maybe that's how you say hello in France, sir, but that's not how we do things here in America.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not saying that this happens in France. I'm being facetious. I'm sorry. Don't cancel.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
You know what, man? I'm watching Outlander. I'm on the 2nd season where they're in France now. Leave me alone. That's my excuse for making fun of Rudy Gobert. But no, I think there definitely should be, because the NBA, it does have issues with that. I mean, hell, you can't even get people to stop flopping left, right, and center.
Oh, don't get me started on the flopping, dude. Oh my gosh, I talked about it on That's Some Cheese with Trey a little bit, or I talked about it with someone. I can't remember exactly who I talked about it with.
On That's Some
I'm
Cheese.
pretty sure it was on That's Some Cheese. They all blend together. I do so much, they just blend together. But, like, literally pissed me off to high heaven when I saw LeBron do what he did. It just, and Kyle Kuzma too. He, like, gets touched and he just, like, pirouettes away, like he's in Swan Lake and it's time for him to exit off the stage, and so he's just spinning around in a circle.
Well, we can't all be like your buddy that got thrown from trying to dunk on someone, got thrown and broke his wrist.
Hey, Valanciunas, that is a Lithuanian, monstrosity of a man. I've actually met his mom, so that's, like, an interesting tidbit about Valanciunas.
So does that mean that Keanu Reeves is going to kill him in the next John Wick movie?
I don't know. He's done it to one NBA player.
Yeah, why not another?
Matter of fact, have the big hands though.
That's true. Did you hear
like Boban does?
And did I hear right that Shaq is going to be wrestling Cody Rhodes?
I don't know, dude. Shaq just does Shaq things.
Shaq does Shaq things, man. I don't know. All right,
R.I.P. to his Krispy Kreme that burnt down.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. The boss lady in the booth is telling me that we're going over time. Thanks so much to Emma Brown and Andrew for coming on, talking hockey with us. You'll get to see them a little bit more on the show as we start talking hockey, because, hey, J Law and I are still a little bit novice when it comes to talking hockey. So we're going to let Bridget decide who we bring on next week to talk some hockey. I'm sure there'll be some hockey to discuss. Later on this month, actually, I think it'll be Bridget. When are we having Trey come on for our spring training episode? Is that next week? Is that next week or the week?
I'm pretty sure it's next week.
All right.
I'll double check with that, but.
All right. So we're going to have Trey Dauber come back on. We're going to be talking spring training. There's some new rules in spring training this time around, and there's all sorts of things that we can be talking about, especially how this conduct policy is going to work going into spring training. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. Hopefully we can get out of this. We'll be out of the purgatory of the sports world very soon. But make sure you give some love to our sponsors, XP Coffee Company, to Forever Grips. Go to Forever Grips. Put in our promo code, I believe is
VSM 15. Get 15% off, baby.
Absolutely. And make sure you use our link for XP Coffee. Get some money off on your get some money off there as well. And we are on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media. Help us out, because our goal is to give you the absolute best that we possibly can. We have some big things on the Tanndemonium Sports Show that are going to be coming very soon that will include us broadcasting live. We will be broadcasting live. You'll be able to interact with us. You'll be able to interact with 12 rounds. It's going to be lit. It's going to be all the way live. Absolutely. You'll be able, and so that news will be coming soon. You'll be able to watch us live on YouTube, Facebook, and I believe on Periscope as well. I'm not 100% sure, but we will get it going. That being said, she's Bridget 12 rounds. He's Jackson Law. I'm Brian Tan. It's the Tanndemonium Sports Show on Vendetta Sports Media. We'll see you next week.